Did you know? It was a Muslim by the name of Jabir ibn Hayyan, who was known as the founder of modern chemistry. So if you've taken chemistry, he's the one that took alchemy into chemistry. Everything that you see here, this is stuff that a Muslim developed. The first person to introduce the idea of programming. Now, this is very interesting because my bachelor was in computer science. Never knew about this. The first person to come with the idea of programming was a Muslim, Ismail al-Jazari, and he is called the father of robotics. Very interesting guy. I'm not going to go over all his inventions here, but they are amazing. I mean, the first working clock, he had water pumps, he had all kinds of robotics that were unheard of back in 1200. I mean, this is way before what we're taught about robotics began. And you can research him. I've put the name. You can look up his inventions. There are paintings, there are pictures, there's so on. So all of this history, how come it's lost? Right? Isn't it interesting that none of us, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I went to school here. I never heard about any of this. All the things that he invented, never heard about it. As if history jumped from Romans and Greeks to modern day America and the West. Right? And that's not an accident. And that's a problem. Why? Because it sets up an inferiority complex. That's why people come, what have Muslims done? What have you invented? What have you guys done? Well, a lot. Just because you don't hear about it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You can look it up. And what that does, it makes a divide, right? Where people think, oh, that whole part of the world is useless. They're not doing anything. What are they doing? What are they inventing, right? Well, what have they done for humanity? What have they contributed? We've done this. We made the car. We made this. But go back in history and look it up. So then we can understand the value that everybody brings. Look, the Chinese, the people of India, the Muslims of Arabia, the people of different lands have all contributed to what we have today in science and technology. And without their contributions, we wouldn't be where we are. People didn't just invent a cell phone out of nowhere, right? If the first camera hadn't been invented, if the idea of programming and robotics had not been invented, you wouldn't have an iPhone today. You wouldn't have a Samsung or whatever else that you may carry. So you have to appreciate that part of history. The Muslim scholar Ibn Hazm, and those of you who study fiqh and things, you know Ibn Hazm well, proved that the world was around 500 years before Galileo. This is well documented and very interesting. When I actually read his writings, his evidence wasn't because he went into space with NASA and things. It was based on the Quran. So he took a holy text, the revelation that Allah sent to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and looking at that, 500 years before Galileo, he explained how the world is round, but somehow it's not in our history books. I don't know, any of you heard of this before? See? Now go home and look it up. Algebra, again, Al-Jabr, this is named after a book by a Muslim mathematician and scholar. And those of you that are Muslim, I'm not promoting their aqaid. In aqidah, it's a different issue. This is about their inventions in science and math and so on. So, algebra, anything you find with algorithms, developed by Muslims. Without algorithms, you wouldn't have programming. Without algorithms, you couldn't have your cell phones or laptops. All of that invented by Muslims, but we don't hear about it. The Muslim mathematician Al-Kindi, he discovered frequency analysis, and this is the discovery that is the basis of cryptography. So now when we look at these developments, all of this comes to be the basis of all technology to go past that. Writing in, I mean, we look at cryptocurrency and all these things today, but you go back to where these ideas were developed when nobody had thought of it, and it was Muslims.